Welcome back to Motonisto, where I try to blend the dependability and reliability performance of relatively modern bikes with the beautiful art of the classic motorcycle. In today's case, we have a 1981 Honda CB900, and we're going to go through some of the changes that I made to it. I don't make the body panels. I only borrow elements from motorcycles I fell in love with in the past, and I make sure those parts are readily available as replacements in case I damage the bike in an accident or something, and they're easily replaceable. So what I do is research what parts that I like would fit the frame, and then make the brackets to fit those parts in an arrangement of such that they blend together nicely, and they look like they were meant to go next to each other, even though as you'll find out later in this episode, none of the parts are meant to go together, especially on this bike. So let's start with the obvious, the body panels. We'll talk about the fuel tank first. The fuel tank is made of aluminum, and it's a reproduction of Ducati Imola of the early 1970s, and it is made in India. Very well made, relatively low cost also, and I installed it as low as possible onto the frame and as far forward as possible to clear, in order to clear the steering. As you can see, barely enough to clear the forks. And then once that is installed, obviously it's mounted on rubber. It is rubber mounted and retained by a strap up on top. The strap has to go around the filler cap, because the filler cap in this case is centered onto the fuel tank. The next part was the seat. The seat had to fit perfectly with the fuel tank, and the seat is a Rickman, also from the 70s, and the seat is quite large. It can fit a variety of larger frames, particularly the Japanese frames of the 70s, and the profile of it fits so nicely with the fuel tank, almost the same angle. And the Rickman seat has that beautiful ducktail look to it, of the classic bikes. The tail light is a semi-truck clearance light. It usually gets installed on the roof of semi-trucks, and I'll finish it off with the license plate mounting. You see that it is rubber mounted on rubber straps, so it's allowed to dance around and vibrate without cracking anything. Especially if you drop the bike, it will stay on the bike. And after the seat was fitted to fit the fuel tank just perfectly, it was time to install a fairing. And the fairing was very challenging because there were many obstacles in the way. This fairing in particular is Dunstall, from 60s and 70s, were used on many motorcycles, and it took quite a bit of cutting and fitting and making the brackets to fit it just right. And the fiberglass fairing and the seat and the screen all came from a place in Florida called GP Cycle Works, and they do amazing work, and they do stand by their product. At first I had a problem with it, and they sent me a replacements, no questions asked, and I do like GP Cycle Works. I will use them in the future. This is just plain black gel coat. It has not been primed or painted yet, and I'm not sure if there's a need for it. No. We'll decide it later. Maybe a crash, an accident will answer that question later. But for the time being, we'll leave the black gel coat as is. It looks great against the red upholstery. The upholstery had to be completed by myself and some friends of mine, family members. Let's move on to the wheels. 1981 Honda came with Comstars, I believe people commonly call them. This was the front one, and I changed to spokes because spokes are beautiful and timeless and very classic looking. This was the rear wheel. You noticed it had a disc brake on it. In order to change to the spoke wheels, the rear I had to convert to a drum brake. It was a matter of welding a retaining bracket for the anchor, and then configuring out the linkage. For those of you who are wondering what wheels did I find to fit this bike, you'll be surprised to hear that the rear wheel is actually another Honda model, a 1976 Honda Matic 750, and it was a little more challenging to install than the front one. The front wheel was also a 1976 Honda Goldwing, and the front wheel was relatively simple to install. It was a matter of making spacers in order to center not just the wheel within the forks, but also the rotors and within the original Honda brake calipers. The legs were powder coated black from the factory, and I removed it in order to give it a little more age, and I finished them off with rubber gaiters, the dust covers, or dust boots. And even the rotors, the brake discs are from the Honda Goldwing from 1976. I chose 1976 because it came with original rims made by DID. DID is a high quality Japanese company, and usually when I buy chains and anything aluminum rims, I try to stay with high quality components such as DID, and both aluminum rims look like they came off the same bike, but that's not the case. That was the original fuel tank of the bike. It's very ugly. That was the original seat of the bike, also very ugly. And that was the front fender. The front fender now is a generic aluminum installed on a bracket I made, and I installed it with you can see plastic nylon straps. I doubled down, one in the front and two in the rear, just so I wouldn't commit this bracket to the fender or vice versa. If I don't like the fender, I can always change it to a different one, but it serves the purpose, and I fit it as close as possible to the tire. It came out great, I think. Let's move on to the exhaust. I forgot to bring the original exhaust out. Originally, this motorcycle came with a 4-into-1 exhaust. The headers exited on this side, and over here connected to just one muffler. I didn't like the look of it, and not to mention it was very rusty. I wanted to have the symmetry of two mufflers in the rear, so I found a new old stock online. It's fairly common option for the time was to install a 4-into-2 exhaust system, and it looks much better. The mufflers are hollowed out generic reverse cones, and I made the brackets to install it onto the frame. These two mounting points existed onto the frame already, so I had to just make brackets to fit it on there, because I didn't want to be married to these mufflers. In case something happens to the bike, I would like to have the option of replacing the mufflers with anything else on the market. The frame was gusseted in the corners. It was a sharp corner before, and all of the corners. I left the electrics exposed because I do like the quick inspection aspect of it, and the quick access to everything that's needed. Carburation was changed from the 4 carburetors. These they can work okay if you know what you're doing. A friend of mine just went by, but I switched to Murray's carburetors, a setup that replaces 4 carburetors with only 2, and those intake manifolds are what's doing the magic of these carburetors. The performance is much increased over stock motorcycle, and I attribute that in performance increase to the carburetors, mostly to the carburetors. They are unbelievably good. So look up Murray's carburetors, and you might find an application for your own motorcycle also. The rear sets, the foot pegs used to be mounted over here, and I moved them back. For that reason, I had to remake all the shift linkage. This plate right here was actually part of a much longer, this will give you an idea. This is what I cut out from the original bracket that extended way past, and it was just very unsightly, very ugly to look at. And I had them powder coated black afterwards, and actually I rounded them off quite a lot and retouched them up a little bit. And same thing onto the brake side. I mentioned earlier I switched to a drum brake in order to fit the beautiful aluminum rim on there. So the same thing happened to the rear brake side. This was cut out from the original part, and it was so ugly. I cut it out, rounded it off, powder coated it black, and I welded my my foot peg directly on the clevis. Is welded directly onto the brake pedal. You can see it moves with it up and down. It's this is the second time I tried this trick, and it worked out very well. The location is exactly where I needed to be. Originally, the foot peg was mounted over here, but with the handlebars being as low as they are, they require rear sets. What else can I add? The tachometer, the gauges of the bike are relatively simple. There's only a neutral light, obviously, and oil pressure light, and tachometer. Tachometer will indicate the speed. That's actually the speed limit on the freeways around where I live in Michigan. And the dashboard is simple. This will turn it on, and I don't want to turn the engine on right now because I don't have a reason to make my neighbors madder than they are at me right now. But yeah, it's simple, and that's all the rider needs. This is my number 18 build. My number 18, and I like it very much. It's a beautiful motorcycle, and it is very fast. It surprises modern bikes. But I think that's about all I have for you onto what kind of parts to fit on older, classic, larger Honda motorcycles, especially the 1980s, were in my views they're not as attractive, not as aesthetically pleasing to look at as the earlier 60s, 70s motorcycles. To give you an example, this was the old gauge cluster from Honda, and it was very ugly. I took the tachometer out, and that was the only part I wanted to use from this ugly cluster. Japanese are great engineers, but I'm not sure they're great artists. I hope that they don't take that as an insult, but they are great motorcycles. Great motorcycles to ride, and I hope I was able to turn this one into a very pretty one in the same time, and hopefully it will last a long time, and things go well with it. And with that, I think I gave you enough information. Go build your own, or ride it as is if you wanna. And until next time, bye bye.